So we've been testing Kalida at Virginia Tech for several years now under various conditions. We've had sites on both creeping bentgrass and on ultra-dwarf Bermuda grass. We've applied during the optimal growing conditions for each of those grasses. We've applied them on the tail ends of the growing seasons. So far from what we've seen with Kalida, we've been very impressed. We have seen no issues with phytotoxicity, none of the regulation that we would expect to see with a lot of DMI fungicides, and certainly safety has not been anything that we have been concerned with so far based on everything we've seen in conditions across Virginia, in different places we've looked at it.
So we saw in our trial work where Kalida really stood out was in mini ring control. We've had a couple of trials looking at mini ring. This summer we had a mini ring trial going into the fall that really showed us what Kalida can do, and it's really exciting to see how well it's performing with mini ring. The trial, one of the things that was kind of interesting about the trial was that we started that trial in late July. We made applications, and that trial by late August, early September, we weren't really seeing any symptoms. It was at a local golf course that had a history of mini ring. One of the things that we joke about in turf pathology is if you want to control disease on a golf course, you just let us put a trial out and you won't see the disease that you think you have. So we put this trial out, and we were frustrated because we weren't seeing any symptoms. So we actually took the trial and moved it to another local golf course that already had some symptoms. When we made those applications over at the other golf course where there was active mini ring occurring, nothing worked. Nothing worked. And then about 2 weeks after we moved the trial, the place that we had first made the applications and were continuing to make the applications and just kind of keep it running just in case, absolutely exploded with symptoms in the untreateds. And one of the treatments that really stood out was the Kalida plots. It was clean of mini ring, and mini rings surrounded the trial, and it was in all the untreated controls. So it's been a really cool thing to see, and gives us an option for those situations where folks struggle to control mini ring. But it also illustrates how important that early control timing is for getting effective control, because those curative applications there really wasn't anything that really worked very well at all.
Ooh, that's a very good question. Put me on the spot to pick two diseases. Number one, I think take-all root rot for Bermuda grass is one where Kalida is going to be a very strong fit. We need something for that particular disease from about June 15th to September 1st. And one of the things we have also noticed with Kalida is it has some suppression with mini ring, which is another disease that's affected or active on ultra-dwarf Bermuda grass at that same time.
We've also looked at using Kalida on bipolaris leaf spot on ultra-dwarf Bermuda grass. This is a disease we see quite frequently. It's not a disease that is always the hardest to control. There's a lot of products that are out there that will be effective at controlling bipolaris leaf spot. One of the things that we noticed with Kalida, which did stand out, was the longevity of control that we saw with that. As some of the other products that we had in our study were starting to break down, we started seeing those plots continue to hold their control. They remained effective for quite some time. With Kalida in our bipolaris leaf spot study, we actually stopped making applications and we rated for longevity, and we actually had effective control for at least 28 days after that last application.
So I see Kalida fitting in a program. One of the things that's nice about Kalida is that it has a DMI and an SDHI with fluindapyr and flutriafol. So anywhere where you would make applications using those modes of action, Kalida is going to give you really excellent control. The SDHI class tends to be somewhat unique in terms of different competitor products and Kalida have strengths and weaknesses kind of across the profile of the diseases that various SDHIs control. I think one of the things that's exciting about Kalida is that with a really solid DMI and flutriafol and then fluindapyr as a really good SDHI, you get a broad spectrum of control that's going to be useful on warm season grasses for disease control like mini ring. We've looked at it with large patch. We've looked at it with fairy ring. On warm season grasses, I would expect to see similar control. So you're going to get a broad spectrum of disease control with something like Kalida, whether you're managing warm season grasses or cool season grasses. And the other thing that allows a superintendent to do that I think is important is that it also allows a superintendent that, say, is managing cool season greens and warm season fairways. If they have an issue on the warm season fairway that they need to make a control application for, they have the ability to use the same product on both a warm season and a cool season grass, which is also nice to have. Sometimes with some of the DMIs, you run into some issues with warm season safety, and that's not the case with Kalida.
In our, as I mentioned, 4 to 5 years of experience with it, I have never seen an issue with turf safety. We've applied it with growth regulators, wetting agents. We've applied it in 100-degree temperatures. We've applied it on Bermuda grass in the spring and fall, and we have yet to see any issues with turf safety.
The thing that surprised me the most about Kalida's performance was the effectiveness with which it controlled mini ring. Effective, repeatable control of mini ring has been challenging, and certainly with Kalida, we've gotten a really solid bit of data on how well it controls mini ring, and that was exciting to see and somewhat surprising for sure.
So we've looked at FAME and Kalida in the same program in a couple of situations on both Caribbean bentgrass and ultra dwarf Bermuda grass. When we see these combinations, one, you're getting a very strong strobilurin with FAME. It's got a proven record. We know that it's going to be effective at controlling a lot of different things. And then with Kalida, you've got your DMI and your SDHI combination product. So you're going to be covering, in many cases, a lot of different diseases. By rotating FAME with Kalida and incorporating that in with other fungicides, we've seen that you're able to control a lot of different diseases while still rotating your modes of action, which is very important in resistance management.